The fire crackled in the small fireplace of our shared apartment, its warm glow casting flickering shadows on the walls. I stood frozen, watching as she held my passport over the flames. The edges curled, blackened, and then disintegrated into ash. My name, my face, my entire documented existence reduced to nothing in her hands. She didn't look at me as she did it, her expression unreadable, almost clinical. "You won't need this anymore," she said, her voice flat, as if she were commenting on the weather. That act, that deliberate destruction, wasn't just about erasing my identity. It was her way of severing everything we'd built together. The passport was a symbol, a final burning of the bridge between us. Her name was Elena, and for 3 years she'd been the center of my world. We'd met at a tech conference in Singapore, her sharp wit and unshakable confidence drawing me in like a moth to a flame. She was the CEO of a fintech startup, a rising star in a cutthroat industry, and I was her partner in every sense, lover, confidant, and the one who managed the chaos behind her brilliance. Together we traveled the world, built a life of late-night strategy sessions and champagne-fueled victories. But somewhere along the way the cracks had started to show. Late-night calls she wouldn't explain, meetings with investors she kept vague, a growing distance in her eyes. I'd ignored it, chalked it up to stress, until that night when she burned my passport and walked away. Her departure was surgical in its cruelty. She stood by the door, her tailored coat draped over one arm, her suitcase already packed. "I'm done," she said, her voice devoid of warmth. It's not working." There was no hesitation, no trace of the woman who'd once whispered promises in my ear under a starlit sky in Santorini. I searched her face for something, anything, regret, sadness, even anger, but there was nothing. Just a cold, calculated detachment, as if she'd rehearsed this moment. She was in control and she wanted me to know it. "You'll figure it out," she added, almost as an afterthought, before turning and walking out. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed was deafening. I stood there stunned, not just by the betrayal but by how meticulously she'd planned it. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision, it was a performance. She'd known exactly what she was doing when she burned my passport, when she chose those final words. The shock wasn't just emotional. It was physical, a tightness in my chest, a ringing in my ears. I stumbled to the couch, my mind racing to piece together the clues I'd missed. The late nights, the cryptic messages, the way she'd started locking her phone. And then it hit me. The rumors I'd overheard at her last board meeting, whispers of a new investor, someone she'd been meeting in private. She wasn't just leaving me. She was leaving me behind, trading our life for something shinier, more profitable. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Despite the hollowness in my chest, a spark of resolve flickered to life. Elena had always underestimated me, seen me as the supportive partner, the one who stayed in the shadows. She didn't know the access I had, the keys to her empire I still held. I sat at my laptop, my hands trembling as I logged into the company's financial systems. Elena's startup was built on a delicate house of cards, investor confidence, stock valuations, carefully curated optics. I knew where the weak points were. With a few keystrokes, I initiated the sale of her personal shares, flooding the market and triggering a cascade of panic. It wasn't revenge, not entirely, it was survival. If she wanted to burn my world down, I'd make sure she felt the heat too. The fallout was immediate. My phone buzzed with notifications, frantic texts from her CFO, panicked voicemails from board members. Elena's empire was unraveling, and she hadn't seen it coming. I pictured her in her sleek corner office, her composure cracking as the stock ticker plummeted. Hours later she called me, her voice no longer cold but frantic, raw with fear. "What did you do?" she demanded, her words tripping over each other. "Do you have any idea what this means?" For the first time, I heard the vulnerability she'd hidden so well, the fear beneath her polished exterior. She wasn't the untouchable CEO anymore. She was just a woman watching her world collapse. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The silence was enough. I saw her one last time, at a cafe where we'd once spent lazy Sunday mornings. She didn't know I was there, but I watched from a corner table as she sat with her lawyer, her face pale, her hands fidgeting with a pen. The confidence was gone, replaced by a nervous energy I'd never seen before. Her empire was in free fall, Her investors pulling out, her reputation in tatters. I could have confronted her, could have thrown her betrayal in her face, but I didn't. Instead, I took a photo with my phone, just her alone unraveling. It was a moment of truth, a reminder of who she really was beneath the facade. Then I stood, left a tip on the table and walked out. In the weeks that followed, I rebuilt. The loss of my passport was a logistical nightmare, but it was also a strange kind of liberation. I was no longer tied to the life Elena had defined for me. I got a new one, the crisp pages, a blank slate. The apartment felt lighter without her presence, the air easier to breathe. I started a small consulting business, using the skills I'd honed in her shadow to carve out my own path. The betrayal still stung, but it was a teacher too. I was wiser now, more guarded but also more open to the possibilities ahead. Standing on the balcony of my new place, watching the city lights flicker against the night sky, I felt something I hadn't in months: freedom. The destruction Elena left behind hadn't broken me. It had set me free. I was no longer the person who'd stood in that apartment, watching my identity burn. I was someone new, someone stronger, ready for whatever came next.